She was getting ready in her cantonment, wearing her boots along with a few of her fellow soldiers' friends. They had night duty at the border. In a few moments they would be heading out to protect their country, risking their lives. Her face wore a somber expression. She had been stationed there for the past 6 months, and now she deeply missed her home and the person she lived there. For the past 2 months she had been requesting leave, but it had not been approved yet. Happen. Don't be sad, girl. We are soldiers and this is part of our lives. One of her seniors said, patting her shoulder, noticing her gloomy face. They were all in this together, bound by the same emotion, and they could sense each other's pain just by looking at their face. You're right, sir, but when I think of home, I get a little sad, and when I remember my duty to the country, everything is take a backseat, she said with a slight smile, looking at them, and they smiled too. Admiring the girl's courage and spirit, she was a brave girl who had reached this position after completing the tuggiest training. "I will, let's go, we have to fulfill our duty," one of them said, and they all stood up ready to go, but they stepped out of their tent and walked a few steps into the desert when they saw a soldier turning towards them from distance, continuously calling out Bayan. They all looked at the soldier stopping in their tracks. He approached them panting and handed on a letter. One looked at him in surprise and then the letter. "Soldier, what's wrong? You look stunned," the soldier said with a smile. "Your leave has been approved not just for 15 days but for 3 whole months. Tonight duty will be your last. Starting tomorrow you're on leave." He shared the news with excitement, and a wave of joy swept through the group. Van opened the letter, reading it with uncertainty, finding it hard to believe. The soldier around her congratulated her with warm hug, thrilled that her wish had finally been granted. They all headed to the border to fulfill their duties. On duty, she opened the letter again and read it uncontrollably. She remembered her last argument with Jungkook, which happened before she left for duty. She could understand that Jungkook was right in his place, but her love for her country forced her to leave everything behind. "When I can understand that you feel lonely after I am gone," she thought, recalling her conversation with Jungkook. "You married to me, have a companion, but not be alone even after marriage. It's just a matter of few years and we will spend time together again. And I want to make these lives memorable with you." Tears welled up in her eyes, but she quickly wiped them away. A soldier was not supposed to cry. Finding the letter, she tucked it into her pocket and grasping her gun, she became vigilant on duty. He entered the house and the guard outside opened the main gate for him. After parking his car in the garage, he walked towards the inner part of the house, unlocked the door and stepped inside. The deep silence and solitude of the house welcomed him after a long executing day. This was not new for him, it was his daily routine. This solitude and silence had made him more serious and cold-hearted. He took a deep breath, casting a glance around the grand empty mansion where everything was available, yet it felt empty and not like a home. He silently headed upstairs to his room as he always did. After refreshing up, he sat on the couch to work on his laptop. He opened the screen and glanced at it, feeling extremely exhausted from the day's event. Due to fatigue, he rested his head on the back of the couch and massaged his forehead with his fingers. He badly needed coffee at that moment, but he was not in the state to get up and make it himself in the kitchen. Moreover, he disliked having servants around in his house after evening. It had been 2 years since his marriage, and during those 2 years he had grown so accustomed to being alone that he wouldn't even call out for someone mistakenly when he needed help. He had endured even more difficult times of pain and illness alone in that mansion. The person he needed the most was far away, and she probably didn't even care about him. Moreover, he didn't like asking for help for anyone else. He took a deep breath, preparing himself to work despite his execution. He sat up straight. His gaze fell on the framed picture of wine on the table. He immediately turned the picture around with a cold expression and immersed himself in his work. She arrived home around noon without informing anyone about her return. She wanted to surprise Jungkook, who had grown accustomed to living without her. After paying the taxi driver, she stopped in front of her house and took a glance at it. It had been 11 months since she last seen her home, and she had missed it and the person living in it so much. Her eyes welled up with tears as she thought about seeing him after such a long time. She wiped her tears and walked away the house. The guard and the entrance saluted her, and she smiled as she stepped inside. She unlocked the door with a spare key she had and entered the house. The interior of the house was still the same as she had left it, with everything neatly clean and arranged in its place. Nothing had changed. She took off her bag from her shoulder and placed it on the couch. She was tired, but she had a lot to do today. He entered the house at night and, as usual, parked his car in the garage and walked towards the door. But today, unlike unusual, the door was unlocked. He was extremely angry with his cleaning staff for being so careless and leaving the door unlocked. After Jungkook left for his office, the cleaning staff would come to clean the house. He opened the door and entered, but today the house was not dark. Instead, it was lit up and things were arranged differently. He walked a few steps forward, surprised, and saw that the dining table was set with various dishes. A faint rounded smile appeared on his lips. It meant the occupant of this house had returned, but for how long? A week? 10 days? As soon as the thought crossed his mind, the smile vanished from his lips. He no longer cared about that. He silently turned around to head to his room. When Jungkook, he heard his name being called from behind, and Jungkook's footsteps halted. It had been a long time since someone had called out his name in this house. Jungkook Pan called out his name again, and he stood with his back to her. She knew he would be angry, but for now she just yearned to see him. Jungkook took a deep breath with his eyes closed, not wanting to face her or even look at her. It was difficult to see her after such a long time, especially knowing it would only be for a short while, and then he would have to wait another year to see her again. He had grown accustomed to living without her, and he didn't want to get attached to her again or get used to having her around. It was difficult but not impossible. He composed himself and turned towards her. After such a long time, seeing him again brought tears to Wine's eyes. He had changed a bit. He looked a bit weaker than before, and the fatigue on his face was evident. But his dignity and pride remained intact. Seeing her again in this empty house after so long also froze Jungkook's gaze. He had yearning seeing her again in this house over the past year, but now he had hardened his heart. One, hi, how are you? She initiated the conversation, taking a few steps forward. She couldn't figure out how to talk to him. Jungkook, fine, just like you left me, he replied in a cold tone, his anger and resentment evident in his words. She walked up to him and stood close, but he was not in the mood to talk to her. Turning away, he took a step back to head his room, but Vine quickly grabbed his arm and Jungkook took a deep breath, holding at her touch. Jungkook, let go of me, he said in a soft but firm tone. Just wait a minute, eat something I cooked for you, she replied, ignoring his tone and speaking in a gentle, loving voice which only added to Jungkook's bitterness. I am used to eating out every day. You didn't need to go through all this trouble. You must be tired. You should have rest instead of wasting your precious time, he said with a tone of sarcasm, and mine eyes welled up with tears, but she knew he was also hurt by her words, so she should endure it too. One, okay, fine, sit with me for a little while. You don't have to wait, she said in a soft but pleading tone. I don't have much time. I am tired. Let's go off my arm, One. He replied in an even harsher and slightly louder tone, and Van released his arm and he walked away without even a movement pause. Wine watched him leave with pained eyes. He didn't go to their shared bedroom. Instead, he went to the other room. It was clear that he had distanced himself from her completely, erasing her from his life and memories, and also from the place that held their memories. Tears streamed down her face, but she wiped them away. She was not the one to give up easily. She was determined to soften his heart towards her. He threw his coat on the couch as he entered the room and lay down on the bed, putting his arms under his head with an expressionless face. He stared blankly at the ceiling. His fatigue had vanished, replaced by a restlessness. Her face appeared before his eyes, and he knew that she had come to hurt him. But he was also human with feelings. The words she had spoken a year ago echoed involuntarily in his ear. You mean nothing to me. You are not my love. My first love is my job. Since childhood, I have had only one dream, and I devoted my entire childhood and youth to achieving it. Now I won't give up my dreams for you and stay with you. Pain resurfaced in his eyes as he remembered her words. The person he wanted to spend his life with didn't consider him important. She was his wife, and he was meeting her only for the second time in 2 years. He didn't want to get attached to her anymore. He stared blankly at the ceiling for a long time. It's better for both of us to stay apart. I know I am not important to you, and I am trying to make sure you are not important to me either. As usual, he stared blankly at the empty walls with empty eyes, drifting off to sleep. In life, he had sought companionship, but it eluded him. He didn't believe in forcing happiness. He was accustomed to being alone since childhood, and it didn't bother him. Now he didn't even feel the need for anyone. As usual, he woke up at 5 a.m. and went to his workout room. After exercising for 6 hours, he took a shower and headed to the kitchen to prepare his breakfast. As he was making his breakfast, he couldn't help but think of Ryan. While making a pancakes batter, his hand paused for a moment. He usually only makes breakfast for himself, but today there was someone else in the empty house. Without thinking, he cracked another egg into the batter and continued making breakfast. He prepared two separate plates and picking up his own, was about to leave when he saw one entering the kitchen, tying her hair. She was surprised to see Jungkook in the kitchen so early, unaware that he was accustomed to having breakfast early. Good morning, she greeted him, but he ignored her and was about to leave when Vian voice stopped him again. You have breakfast so early. I was home. You could have woken me up. I would make breakfast for you. She tried to initiate conversation with Jungkook again. Jungkook, thanks, but I can take care of myself. I don't need anyone's help. He replied coldly and took a deep breath. Vine found it increasingly difficult, almost impossible, to pressure him. Okay, and was breakfast in the second plate for is there someone else in this house beside you? She knew he had made it for her, but she wanted to hear it from him. It was made by mistake, so I left it. Whoever wants to eat it can. He said coldly, looking at Pan, who shook her head in denial and took two steps closer to him. Why are you lying? Can't you tell the truth? You make extra breakfast every day and leave it on the table plate for someone, she said, her voice strained with sadness and hurt. You didn't need to do that for me. I couldn't make my own breakfast, she added, her tone now laced with pain. Jungkook's words had hurt her, but her response hurt him even more. He already thought she didn't like him, so why would she eat food made by him? Jungkook, you can say it straightforwardly. When I have no importance to you, then you must despise eating food made by me, and if you think I made for you, you should clear up that misunderstanding. Without thinking twice, he picked up the breakfast tray and tossed it into the dustbin along with his own tray. Van watched him in shock, her mouth agape. Jungkook's breakfast was now forbidden to him, and his appetite had vanished away. Seeing her, she had no idea he could get so angry over something so trivial. Jungkook, fine, now you should be happy, he said, still foaming as he stormed out of the room, and Vine followed him a few steps behind. Jungkook, listen, that's not what I mean. Why do you always misunderstand me? She stood in the kitchen doorway, her voice trembling. He has not the same person anymore. He had become even more stern and cold. She glanced at the breakfast lying in the trash can, regretting that why she had even tried to talk to him. Because of her, he was now left hungry too. One, be as angry as you want, but I won't back down. I try my best to persuade you, even if it takes my entire 3 months leave or even my entire life. I'll take him some time to leave for the office. I'll make some more breakfast in the meantime. She thought, not wanting Jungkook to go to the office hungry because of her. With a hint of sadness, she began preparing breakfast again, but the sound coming from outside the kitchen made her stop. She walked out of the kitchen to see Jungkook standing in the hallway ready to leave for the office, searching for something while adjusting his scarf. You are leaving for the office so early? If it's because of me, please wait, she said, looking at him with a melancholic tone. She assumed that Jungkook was leaving early because she was at his house, but she didn't know that his office hours started at 7 a.m. He ignored her question, remained engrossed in his charts. What are you looking for? Let me help you find out, she said, taking a step closer to him, and Jungkook took 2 steps back and gestured for her to stop where she was. Jungkook, please stop pretending to care about me. It's getting annoying. I could take care of myself before, and I can still do it now. Stop interfering in my work. Go live your life. Take care of yourself. I don't need anyone's help. He spoke harshly, picking up the car keys from the couch, disregarding the pain his words might have caused her. Fine, fine, I won't interfere with your work, but can you just stay home for dinner tonight instead of eating out? I cook for you and I want to have dinner with you. Tear wells up in her eyes as she pleaded. Jungkook responds with a cold, deep breath. Jungkook, no, I am used to eating out and I won't change my habit just for one day. You don't need to do all this, and you should tire yourself out with household chores. The servant will come soon to take care of everything. This is your home meant for resting, not working. For the few days you are here, relax and take it easy. Don't execute yourself with unnecessary efforts. He walked out, speaking in a cold tone, while one collapsed into the couch, feeling defeated. Melting this cold, icy walls was becoming increasingly impossible for her. Uncontrollably, her mind wandered back to 2 years ago when she barely knew Jungkook and they got married. She was a poor girl, the daughter of an elderly man who worked in Jungkook's office. She loved her father and family dearly. At her father's insistence, she married Jungkook. She knew she had made a mistake. She had applied for a job in the military and kept it secret from anyone. She remembered the night of their wedding when the letter confirming her job in the military arrived. But before she could even see it, Jungkook had already picked it up. He silently handed it over to her and then left the room without saying a word. The next morning, she quietly left for her military service without discussing anything with him, and Jungkook didn't say anything to her either. A year later, when she returned home for a week leave, Jungkook tried to talk to her in a very gentle tone. He suggested, why don't you quit your military job and join my office instead? Or you can take up any other job you like, as long as you don't have to stray away from home for a whole year. But their conversation turned into an argument, and after that, Jungkook completely changed. He stopped talking to her and even avoided looking at her. One, I know I made a mistake, but it's not so big that you can't forgive me. Maybe we were not meant for each other, but I can try to make you mine. Even if you won't become mine, what's the worst that can happen? I'll die as yours. She wiped away her tears with an determined look and stood up. Now, during her leave, she was going to do what wives typically do for their husbands. He came home at his usual time that evening, but as he entered the house, he felt that the atmosphere had changed. The house was filled with a soft, gentle lights everywhere. He looked around and his gaze fell on Vian, who was setting the table for dinner. She was wearing a simple outfit, her hair loosened, and she looked effortlessly elegant. As Jungkook caught sight of her, he bowed his head, rubbing his temple with his finger. Despite his warnings, she was still doing everything he had told her not to do. He couldn't understand what she was trying to do. He tried to ignore her and move forward, but as soon as she saw him, she called out to him. When did you arrive, and why were you leaving so quietly without even greeting me? She asked, speaking warmly, and she quickly put down her task and walked into the hall, stopping a few feet away from him. Wine, please, I'm not in the mood of any nonsense right now. Go back to what you were doing, he said sternly, turning to leave, but Wine grabbed his hand, stopping him. Wine, what kind of way is this to talk? I have been waiting for you since morning, and you are speaking to me like this. Her voice took a hint of sadness, and she took a step closer to him. You are feeling so bad after just waiting for a few hours and being alone. What about? He left the sentence incomplete, taking a deep breath instead. The girl had made his life difficult even when they were apart, and now she was doing the same while living together. I didn't tell you to wait for me, and please let go of my hand. Enjoy your life and stay away from me for as long as you are here, he said coldly, but she was looking into his eyes, seeing the desolation there that he was trying to hide behind his anger and aggression. She took his other hand in hers, moving closer to him, and Jungkook looked at her with a stern expression. Vine, please just listen to me for a minute, she said, her face innocent and hopeful, looking at him with pleading eyes. Jungkook averted his gaze. Fine, but you couldn't say that from a distance without holding my hand. No, as your husband, you are mine, and I have the right to do this. You remember you have a husband, that's good, but I don't remember having a wife. So please keep a distance while talking to me. Why have you become so rude? She asked, looking at his tight face with a hint of sadness. You looks executed. Whenever you come home, why do you work so much that you get so tired? Jungkook, it's my job, the only thing in my life that never leaves me. My job gives me a lot of importance. Without me, my work is incomplete. It doesn't remind me anyone, and after executing me, it puts me to sleep quickly and peacefully at night, he said, looking at her in a soft tone. One lowered her gaze. He was right, she knew, but after he said all that, she didn't have the courage to tell him that he has also important in her life. Fine, let's forget about these things for now. We will talk about them later. Come, let's eat first. I hope you have not eaten outside, she said, trying to change the topic. Jungkook, I did eat outside, fine. I told you not to go through so much trouble for me. Please let me go. I am extremely tired. Why did you eat outside? I told you in the morning that I'll cook dinner for you and wait for you. I was waiting for you and I have not eaten anything since morning, she said, looking into his eyes with a sad face. Jungkook, I didn't tell you to strive because of me, that's your own foolishness. He said in a casual tone. Wayne took a deep breath, hurt by the cold demeanor of this cold person. Okay, bye, fine, but can you at least eat with me? She held his hand tightly, speaking hopefully. Okay, fine, what did you make for dinner? He asked in a soft tone, hoping that maybe she knew his preference or had tried to about him. I made fried rice, mushroom, kimchi, and pudding for dessert, she said, since Jungkook had finally agreed to eat with her. Jungkook, you know what I like and dislike in food, he said, his tone turning melancholic again, and his hope faded. No, she hesitated to say. I liked all of it and everyone liked these things, so I made them, she said, trying to sound casual. Jungkook, wine, I don't like or eat any of those things. Thank you for thinking of me. Thug, when you shouldn't be doing all this, don't try to do things you don't want to do. Don't waste your precious time and life on useless people like me. Now go eat and do whatever you want. This time he didn't speak in a harsh or cold tone. There was something in voice that made Wan feel bad, and she couldn't say anything in front of him. Jungkook had freed his hand from hers and turned to leave when Wan hugged him from behind, not wanting to let him distance himself from her right now. Jungkook simply let out a cold sigh in response to her action. "I'm sorry," she said in a choked voice. "If this sorry for the food, then it's not necessary. I didn't mind and I usually eat what I like outside, so you don't need to worry about it. Now let's just drop it and let me go." He looked at her hands wrapped around his chest. She was his wife, but he didn't want to touch her. When no, the sorry was not for the food. I am sorry for my rudeness last time and for what I said to you. I didn't mean what I said. It was in anger. Can't you forgive me for my mistake? So you're feeling guilty all this time, and I was foolishly thinking something else. He shook his head, clearing his thoughts. Jungkook, you didn't need to work so hard for 2 days just to say sorry. You said what you thought was right, and it was the truth. I should have stayed within my limits too. Why was I trying to find time and space for myself in someone else's life? Everyone has their own life. Thank you for making me face reality. I am not angry with you, nor am I upset. I'll just become like this over time. Just ignore me. Please let me go now. I am executed from standing. He spoke in a soft tone, but his words were laced with a hint of pain, and Vine felt regret for her words. Tears began to well up in her eyes. Vine, no, you are married me. I am your wife. You have rights over me. I was not saying sorry for all this. I was just trying to make a place for myself in your heart. Jungkook smiled bitterly at her thoughts. The girl was trying to make a place for herself in his heart, but she was already occupying a space there, a space that he couldn't shake off, a thought that lingered with him all the time. Jungkook, why are you making this effort when you don't gain anything from it and you don't have any connection to these things? I don't understand what you want to do or what you want. This time he spoke in a irritated tone and his patience was wearing thin. Vine moved from behind him and stood in front of him. It's been 2 days since I arrived, and you won't have not spoken to me kindly, nor have you asked how I am. I have taken 3 months leave off for you, and you can't even talk to me properly. Vine, will I spend these 3 months leave just like this in this house? Jungkook, you didn't need to take leave from me, nor did you need to do me this favor, and you don't need to waste your these holidays staying at home with someone like me. Go spend some time with your family, your parents, siblings, and friends. Must be missing you. Hang out with friends, go on trip with them, enjoy your life. And if you're having trouble enjoying life because of me, you can take freedom from me whenever you want. I'll never be an obstacle in your path. Why? How can you say that I need freedom from you? I admit I said a lot to you in anger, but back then I didn't know you. I didn't take leave to do you a favor. I wanted to spend all my time with you. I missed you a lot in those 11 months. She wrapped her arms around his face, hugging him tightly, and Jungkook breathed caused. She was getting closer and closer, and for the first time, he felt someone, his favorite girl, so close to him. He felt suffocated. He didn't want to touch her, didn't want to be close to her, didn't want to fall deeper in love with her. He didn't want to trap her, but she was suffocating him. He knew she didn't love him, and all this was just temporary. After this, she would be away from him again for a long time, leaving him alone once more. Jungkook, please Vine, stay away from me. Stop, you're suffocating me. He was saying when she interrupted him, and Jungkook's words got stuck in his throat. He couldn't believe what he just had heard. When I love you, please don't push me away. He grabbed her on her shoulders, holding her at distance, making her face in front of him. What did you just say? Say it again, he asked, looking into her eyes, and Van felt a slight tremble, but she was not a weak girl. When I love you, she spoke, looking into his eyes, and Jungkook was stunned, releasing his grips on Ryan. But in the next moment, his breath caught and his eyes closed tightly. This time he thundered with anger, and Vine was frightened by his rage. But she didn't want to give up this time. She approached him again and hugged him, and Jungkook closed his eyes, trying to control himself, holding her shoulders and pushing her away again. Vine looked at him with tearful eyes and silently hugged him again. This time he couldn't push her away because she was clinging to his chest, sobbing uncontrollably. Vine, I never thought like that. As you are saying, I truly love you so much. It took me time to realize, but I genuinely love you. I know you love me too, so why are you doing this? She spoke, crying, and Jungkook was confused about how to explain to her why he was doing this. He wanted to keep her free, but she was imprisoning herself. Jungkook's dilemma depends as he struggled to reconcile his desire to protect Vine's freedom with her insistence on being with him. Jungkook, mine, it's better for you to stay away from me. And if you want to achieve your dreams, forget this love. If I get attached to you, I'll trap you and you'll regret loving me. I'm used to being alone. I'll survive without you. When you're not like that, I know you can't hurt me, but you can hurt yourself. Please, I want to spend a few moments of my life with you. I live between life and these few moments are all I have. Let me leave them. Don't push me away from myself. She tightened her grip around his waist, burying her face in his chest, and Jungkook took a deep breath. This girl was truly a tough test for him. If he loved this girl, he had to let go of himself and fulfill her desire, follow her wishes. He had to make many sacrifices for her, and it took him just a moment to decide. He thought of her loving him, and who knew when life could end in an instant. He raised his arms, wrapped them gently around her, and buried his face in her neck. The closeness he had longed for, she was finally in his arms. Jungkook, let's go eat. You must be hungry. After savoring her closeness for a moment, he pulled away from her, and Wan looked at him with eyes reddened from crying. Jungkook's heart swelled with love for those eyes that had cried for him. You have forgiven me, and you are not angry with me anymore, right? Jungkook, no. Why would I be angry with you? You have not eaten anything since morning. Let's go eat first. But we eat later. If you're not angry with me, then prove it first. He was taken aback by her request. How could he prove it, Jungkook? How? How do I prove it? Why? By kissing me. She had put her fingers on her lips, and involuntarily a smile appeared on Jungkook's lips. You smile too. Your smile is so cute. I have seen you smile for the first time today. Jungkook, there must be a reason for smiling. Everyone smiles when there were a reason. Nobody smiled without a reason. He gently pecked her lips and held her hands. Let's eat first and then we will talk about other things. After the shower, he wrapped her in a towel and sat her down in front of the dressing table and began to comb her hair. Today he was going to get her ready himself, and Vine silently watched him do everything. She knew he was in pain, but he couldn't deny any of her wishes. 3 months had passed so quickly she couldn't even believe it. He tied her hair up and dressed her in her uniform with a badge on it. Now he was sitting at her feet, putting on her shoes. As he tied her shoelaces, he stood up. Jungkook, there is still something missing. He picked up wine cap from the table and approached her. He first kissed her forehead and then placed the cap on her head. Perfect, he said, forcing a smile on his lips. He didn't want to distress her before she left, but he couldn't help staring at her with thirsty eyes as if he wanted to memorize every detail of her face. But how could he, when looking at her only made his heart ache more? His patience was wearing thin, and he quickly turned away, closing his eyes. 2 tears capped his eyes, and he hastily wiped them away. Jungkook, let's go. He wiped away his tears, but she had already seen them. It hurt her to see such a strong man cry for her. She stood before him and, getting close, hugged him tightly, resting his head on her shoulder. Jungkook wrapped his arms around her waist, holding her tightly, and let his tears flow on her shoulder. He didn't know when he would see her again, and he was afraid of losing her. Wayne gently patted his head, trying to comfort him. Jungkook, don't go. How will I live without you? He barely managed to speak, and Wayne hurt Ash seeing him like this. Don't cry, I promise this time I will come back soon, and next time I will take a long leave and we will spend a long time together. I am scared, Vine. Every second when you are there, I don't sleep at night, fearing something might happen to you, or might get hurt, or you might be in pain. I am scared of losing you. You are my last hope, my only reason to live. Never leave me. He held her tightly, speaking with a trembling voice, and Vine felt that he was genuinely scared. Relax, I won't leave you. I promise to always take care of myself for you. Just let me go this one last time. I'll come back soon, and next time I won't leave you. She gently stroked his back, and Jungkook lifted his face. Promise me you won't leave me next time, he said, looking at her with hope in eyes, and at that moment Vine thought he looked like a small child. I won't leave, I promise. She wiped away Jungkook's tears and gently kissed her. 3 months had passed since Vine left, and in those 3 months he had become even more lonely. The memory of her haunted him constantly, and today they were haunting him even more intensely. He lay on his bed, face down, clutching Vine's pillow tightly and staring at his phone, hoping that maybe today he would receive a call from Vine. It's been had a month and a half since they left. Today he was feeling an inexplicable anxiety and restlessness. He got up to pour himself a glass of water, but the anxiety didn't subside. Please come back, Vine. I am dying. This anxiety, this loneliness will kill me, he said, clutching his chest, and walked out the balcony. He entered the room still restless and lay back down on the bed. Fresh air, cold water, nothing was bringing him peace. It was 2 a.m. and despite the execution of the day, sleeping was miles away from him. Hello, Ryan. How are you? Are you okay? I miss you so much today. I've been waiting all day for your call. He said everything in one breath while the officer on the other end of the phone took a deep breath, trying to compose himself before delivering the news of her passed away. What's wrong, Ryan? Why are you quiet? Say something. He grew anxious, sensing the silence on the other end. Are you Captain Ryan's husband? A male voice asked from the other end, and his face fell. Yes, I am her husband. Can you put me through to her? We want to inform you about something. Please try to stay calm while listening to the news. Jungkook sank as he heard the word. Yes, go ahead, I am listening. Captain Ryan was martyred while fighting the enemy. She is no longer with us. Jungkook's eyes filled up with tears and it was hard for him to accept the truth. Look, I think you are lying. If this is some kind of joke from Ryan, tell her it's not funny. I won't tolerate it. He spoke between sobs. Soldier, I understand it's hard for you to believe, but it's the truth. Well, bring Captain Van's body to you by tomorrow morning. Please make arrangements for her funeral. Please don't say that. I won't be able to bear it. Please just let me talk to Vine once. Tell her I'll die without her. Please don't leave me. She knows I can't live without her. She can't leave me. He spoke, sobbing uncontrollably, his words pouring out in a desperate, frantic stream. Tears flowed from his eyes. Say something, why are not you saying anything? I am dying, say something, he screamed. But the call had been cut off long ago. He looked at the phone and threw it away, sobbing uncontrollably as he sat down on the floor. The pain had become unbearable, and the fear he had harbored had come true. She had left him forever, and he was alone once again. He buried his face in his knees and wept bitterly, like an innocent child who had lost someone dear. Night had turned into morning and everyone had been informed of Fine's martyrdom. Fine's family and relatives had arrived at Jungkook's house along with his entire office staff. Everyone was somber and grief-stricken. After a while, it's time for Fine to arrive, and Jungkook sat on the stair outside waiting for her in the state of despair. His eyes were swollen from crying all night and his hair was disheveled. No one could recognize him as Jungkook. Soon the noise around him grew louder and many cars and ambulances stepped outside the gate. Jungkook's heartbeat quickened with the noise as he felt like his heart was about to burst from the intensity of his pain. Many soldiers entered the house carrying coffin and holding candles, and everyone saluted together. The coffin was placed on the table in the courtyard, and from a distance Jungkook saw Wine face through the glass coffin, and his tears began to flow again. Seeing the lifeless body of the person you love more than life itself, even more painful than yourself. Closing his eyes, Jungkook intensely wished to die at that moment. The girl who had always caused him pain and now left him with lifetime of sorrow. Everyone is gathered, you should come to see her. Bts said softly, standing beside him. Jungkook opened his eyes and looked at him with anguish. He didn't even had a chance to properly see his beloved. I don't have the courage to walk. Can you take me to her? He requested in a choked voice, a man who was always used to give an order, but now his heart ached to see his boss in this state. Yes, sir. He supported Jungkook and helped him to walk to Ryan's side. Everyone moved away from Ryan as Jungkook approached and he sat down beside her for a while. He gazed at Ryan's face through the glass and then he opened the coffin. She was dressed in her new uniform. If I know you'd come like this, I wouldn't have let you go. I would have kept you by my side, close to my heart. He could only think this, but time had changed everything. He carefully placed his hand under mine, had lifted her and held her close to his chest. He gently stroked her face. Fine, wake up, open your eyes. Look, I am here with you, you Jungkook. You can't leave me. You love me. You promised me you never leave me. You said you come back quickly this time. Ryan, please wake up. Something going to happen to me.
I can't live without you. I love you so much. I am alone in this world. I have no one but you. Please don't leave me. I promise I'll never get angry with you again. I apologize for the last time I did. Do whatever you say, but just please don't leave me. Please wake up. He held her tightly, sobbing uncontrollably. She was gone, leaving him behind forever. Everyone present was moved to tears, seeing the depth of their love and the pain of their separation. He cried for a long time, holding her close, oblivious to the people around him. He had forgotten everything, only remembering Vian and seeing her, the team leader of Vian unit, stepped forward and placed her hand on Jungkook's shoulder. Sir, it's time the burial ceremony. Please take care of yourself. Jungkook regained his senses, looked at team leader. No, please, I have not even looked at her properly yet. Let her stay with me. Don't take her away from me. Wine was lowered into the grave and Jungkook poured a handful of soil into the grave, tears streaming down his face. Goodbye, my love. You left me and departed from this world, but you will always be alive in my heart. He spoke softly, looking at her face one last time, and then silently got up and left. He didn't have the courage to see her beneath the earth, the one he loved more than himself. All the rituals were complete, and one team leader and colleagues stood before him. Heaven, Vine left a message for you before she departed from this world, and we want to convey it to you. Jungkook immediately looked away from Vine belonging and at him. She said that if we meet her husband, tell him that I couldn't fulfill my promise to you. I'm sorry, life didn't give me enough time. If possible, please forgive me and try to move on and forget me. Tears flowed from Jungkook's eyes. She had even apologized for not being able to fulfill her promise, and now he couldn't even complain to her. He silently held Van's belonging close to his chest and walked back to her grave, wanting to tell her that he was not angry with her, but he couldn't move on and forget her in this life.